After the college entrance exam, my childhood sweetheart confessed to me. Just as I was about to agree, a message from my 25-year-old self arrived. Don't say yes. He only wants to sleep with you. He has no intention of taking responsibility. Look at Mason Tan. He's your future husband. His phone wallpaper is you. The tattoo on his chest is you. Even the hair tie on his wrist is the one you dropped. I froze, turning my head to the corner of the room where the school's resident tough guy was staring, eyes red-rimmed. He looked uncomfortable, a hint of grievance in his voice as he said, "Why are you looking at me? I'm not the one who confessed." After registering our college preferences, Lucas Liu invited me to a classmate gathering. I stood outside the private room, hand on the doorknob, my heart hammering so fast it felt like it would leap out of my chest. Through the crack in the door, I saw him standing amidst the crowd, a large bouquet of roses in his arms, his expression slightly tense. Around him, classmates were laughing and teasing. When our school's heartthrob makes a move, what could possibly go wrong? Anya Wen has been following him for 3 years straight. You couldn't get rid of her even if you tried. Honestly, all you have to do is crook your finger, and Anya Wen would obediently come running. Why even bother with flowers? Even if it were just a roadside weed, as long as you gave it to her, Anya Wen would treat it like a treasure. My breath hitched, and my heart gave a painful throb. It was true. I had liked Lucas Liu for 3 years. We were neighbors and childhood sweethearts. It was just that I had started to realize this vague feeling back in freshman year. For those 3 years, I had always been by his side, or rather, a step behind him, watching him play basketball, bringing him water, buying him breakfast, even copying notes for him. He was also very gentle with me. He patiently explained lessons, offered me his umbrella on rainy days, and even carried me to the infirmary when I had period cramps. I had always thought he liked me, but it turned out that, in the eyes of others, I was just a girl who would come running at a mere crook of his finger. I bit my lip, suppressing the bitter ache in my heart. Don't overthink it. What others think is their business. As long as I was in Lucas Liu's heart, that was enough. He was so kind, and so many girls liked him. For him to agree to confess to me was already my greatest fortune. I comforted myself, preparing to push the door open and step inside. The phone in my hand suddenly vibrated. I reflexively looked down. The screen displayed a message from an unknown number. "Don't go in. I'm your 25-year-old self." I was stunned. Immediately after, a second message arrived. Lucas Liu made a bet with his friends. He could sleep with you within 3 days, the prize being a pair of limited edition sneakers. He has no intention of taking responsibility. Mom? If you don't believe me, just ask him where he applied for college. My entire body went rigid. He promised Vivian, too, he'd apply to a university with her. A university? But Lucas Liu had clearly told me he would apply to C University, saying he wanted to always be with me. I stared at the screen, my head buzzing. Vivian, too, transferred in during the latter half of sophomore year. Her family was wealthy, and she had an exceptional demeanor. As soon as she arrived, she captured the entire school's attention. She once brought Lucas Liu water on the basketball court. But at the time, he politely declined. I had even secretly rejoiced for a while. But it turned out they had been secretly in contact all along. Inside the private room, Lucas Liu's voice, tinged with amusement, rang out. All right, that's enough teasing. Anya will be here soon. Everyone play along a bit." "Don't worry, she'll definitely say yes. I know her too well." My heart felt like it had been stabbed, the pain draining the color from my face. So, his gentle smiles, his caring gestures, even his promises about our future, were all just part of a bet? Or was I merely a fleeting distraction, a bit of seasoning for his bland life? My future self seemed afraid I wouldn't believe it, urging me to go inside and confirm for myself. If you don't believe it, go in and see for yourself. Some things you have to see with your own eyes to know if they're worth it or not. I know you're the type who won't turn back until you've hit a wall, because I am you. I abruptly pushed the private room door wide open. The chatter instantly ceased. All eyes simultaneously turned towards me. Lucas Liu froze slightly, then offered a gentle smile. "Anya, you're here." He took the bouquet of roses and stepped towards me. I took a step back. "Lucas Liu, which university did you apply to?" I stared intently at his face, trying to find even a flicker of guilt. His smile froze on his face. A few seconds later, Lucas Liu gave a faint cough. "C University, of course. Didn't we make that clear?" His gaze was avoiding mine. "Do you dare log into the application system right now and show me your preferences?" Lucas Liu's expression instantly changed. Around us, the classmates exchanged glances, some whispering, "What's going on?" He forced a smile. "Anya, what's wrong? Why are you suddenly asking about this? Didn't we fill out our applications together? You know I chose C University." I pulled out my phone, opened the college application inquiry system, and thrust it directly in front of him. "Then log in now." Lucas Liu's expression completely crumbled, his face contorting with shame turning into anger. "Anya Wen, what do you think you're doing? There are so many people here." "If you want to see, I'll show you some other time." My heart sank to the very depths. The phone in my hand vibrated again. I opened it, seeing a new message. "Or you could look towards Mason Tan. He's your future husband." Chuts. His phone wallpaper is you. The tattoo on his chest is you. Even the hair tie on his wrist is the one you dropped. I reflexively looked to the corner of the room where Mason Tan was sitting. He was lazily leaning back into the sofa. His black t-shirt made his snow-white skin stand out even more, and the black hair tie on his wrist was particularly eye-catching. My heart suddenly skipped a beat. Mason Tan seemed to sense my gaze, looking up slightly, his red-rimmed eyes meeting mine directly. There was a hint of grievance in them. For just a moment, I felt a sudden panic and hastily averted my gaze. The atmosphere in the private room froze. Lucas Liu stood there, his expression gloomy, the bouquet of roses drooping by his side. "Anya," he tried to explain. "I can explain about the applications," I said coldly. "You changed your application. Because of your promise to Vivian too?" Lucas Liu's pupils constricted. "How did you know?" I didn't know. If I hadn't received that message, I would probably still be foolishly dreaming of college life with him. Now, I only felt a bitter, sharp pain in my heart. Around us, the classmates all wore expressions of eager curiosity, yet none dared to speak. "Anya, could this be a misunderstanding?" "Everyone can see how well Lucas Liu has treated you." "That's right. Lucas Liu has never been close with Vivian too. He's only confessing to you today because he knows you dislike Vivian, so he deliberately kept her from coming." Had they truly never been in contact? I blurted out, "Do you dare call her right now in front of me to prove it?" Lucas Liu gave a faint sneer. "Anya Wen, you're not even my girlfriend yet and you're already this jealous. You look truly ugly like this. Vivian and I only filled in a university because we lost a bet. It wasn't entirely because of her. Another bet. He bet on me, and now he was even betting on his own future." In the corner of the room, Mason Tan stood up. His height of 1.88 meters immediately drew all eyes in the room to him. He walked unhurriedly to my side, his gaze sweeping over the bouquet in Lucas Liu's hand, filled with disdain. "Is that all?" Lucas Liu's face darkened. "Mason Tan, what does that have to do with you?" Mason Tan ignored him, turning to look at me, his deep eyes meeting mine. "Anya Wen, your judgment is truly terrible." I was stunned. "Would you consider me?" The entire room immediately fell into a chilling silence. The air seemed to freeze. Someone took a deep breath, excitedly whispering and discussing. Isn't Mason Tan the one who hates girls approaching him the most? Last time a girl gave him a love letter, he didn't even look at it before throwing it straight into the trash can. I even heard he rejected the class beauty with the reason he doesn't like girls. This isn't about not liking girls. It's more like not liking anyone other than Anya Wen. My mind went blank, my gaze unconsciously falling on his wrist. Mason Tan seemed to sense my gaze and reflexively used his other hand to cover the black hair tie, but his earlobes flushed slightly. Lucas Liu suddenly rushed over, grabbing my wrist tightly. Anya, don't listen to his nonsense. You know how I treat you. Vivian once said that you girls like roses the most. That was clearly what Vivian, too, liked. I had never liked roses. I preferred red lilies. Once, after school, passing by a flower shop, I even deliberately pointed at them and said, "Red lilies symbolize passionate love." It seemed he had forgotten. If he truly wanted to confess, why was he so perfunctory? "Let go." Mason Tan's voice was icy, his eyes turning dangerous. Lucas Liu was startled by that aura, his grip unconsciously loosening. Mason Tan took the opportunity to pull me behind him, shielding me. The private room began to stir with chaos. Anya Wen doesn't like roses. Just because others like them, does she have to? Lucas Liu suddenly threw the bouquet to the ground, angrily shouting, "Anya Wen, are you going to choose him? Have you forgotten everything we had over the past 3 years? Who held an umbrella over you on rainy days? When your stomach hurt? Who carried you to the infirmary? When you failed an exam, who comforted you?" Each word was like a knife twisting in my heart, making it bleed. Those memories were all real. But the current deception was also real. I looked into Lucas Liu's bloodshot eyes, taking a step back to maintain distance. "I'm not choosing anyone." Having said that, I turned and left the room. Lucas Liu intended to follow, but Mason Tan took a single step, blocking his path. When I got home, my phone vibrated constantly. Lucas Liu's messages came relentlessly. "Someone like Mason Tan, how could he be serious? His family has already arranged for him to go abroad long ago. He's just playing a joke on you because you're too naive. Our 3 years of feelings, are you going to give them up so easily?" I stared at the screen, hesitated for a few seconds, then decided to block his number. The world finally fell silent. My phone screen suddenly lit up. The one calling herself Anya, 25-year-old self, sent a new message. "Why didn't you accept Mason Tan?" I just replied with a question mark. It was too sudden, especially when my feelings for Lucas Liu hadn't completely faded. Message notifications chimed continuously. "In the future, every time you cry, he'll wish he could tear out his own heart to soothe you. You hit him, and he'd worry your hand hurt. He remembers all your preferences. He even predicted your period more accurately than you could." The more I read, the more annoyed I felt, so I replied directly, "If you're saying we'll get married in the future, what's the difference if it's sooner or later?" The other side was silent for a long time, so long that I thought there wouldn't be a reply. Finally, a new message appeared, "Because you owe him too much." My heart suddenly constricted. "You and he will get married, but 1 year after the wedding, he will be hit by a car and die saving you." My phone fell from my hand. I crouched down to pick it up, finding my hands shaking uncontrollably. The screen lit up again. "After graduation, you accepted Lucas Liu's confession. He got what he wanted and immediately dumped you. You once tried to use death to make him turn back, but in the end, it was Mason Tan who slowly pieced you back together. Just as you decided to be good to him, he got into a car accident. At the funeral, you cried until you fainted 3 times. You didn't even realize you were pregnant. That baby ultimately didn't make it. When you were sorting through his belongings, you found high school diaries in his study. Every single page was about you." "Isn't Mason Tan supposed to study abroad?" I asked. "He didn't go. He donated money to build a building to ensure he could attend the same university as you. If you don't believe me, just ask him." Donated to build a building? That truly matched Mason Tan's style. I opened the chat window with him, typed, then deleted. Finally, I just sent one sentence. "I heard you're planning to study abroad?" On the other side, typing appeared instantly. Before I could send another message, he replied immediately. "I'm a patriot. I'm not that kind of person, and I absolutely refuse to go." I laughed through my tears. That tone truly was just like him, both arrogant and childish. At that moment, my phone vibrated again. It was Anya from the future texting. "Treat him well or you'll regret it. I don't want you to walk the same path I did, because I am filled with regret." She said she could barely distinguish between reality and illusion. Sometimes she woke up on the roof of a building. If she hadn't unexpectedly found a way to contact her past self, she probably would have jumped a long time ago. Mason Tan saw I didn't reply and texted relentlessly on his own. Lucas Liu is truly a piece of trash. Not only did he bet on you, but I also secretly caught him changing. He doesn't even have abs, so flabby. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. What about you? Do you have abs? Silence stretched for a long time on the other end. Was he counting them? Sure enough, half a minute later, a message arrived. 8-pack? Want to count them yourself? I bit my lip and replied, all right. The very next second, a video call rang. I frantically adjusted my hair before daring to accept. On the screen, Mason Tan's face was flushed, his eyes darting, unable to look directly at the camera. You just said, Mason Tan. I cut him off, gathering all my courage. Let's give us a try. He froze, staring blankly at me. Huh? You said try with whom? Try what? I deliberately tilted my chin up, teasing him. Guess what we're trying? The screen shook violently, as if about to fall to the ground. When it reappeared, his face was right up against the camera, his voice brimming with undisguised excitement. Anya Wen, are you serious? I nodded. Heh heh, Mason chuckled foolishly, like a nearly 50-kilo child. That entire night, he kept messaging me, calling me girlfriend. Even after I fell asleep, he sent one last message. Girlfriend, good night. The next morning, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find Lucas Liu standing there, a bag of breakfast in his hand. His expression was as if yesterday's argument had never happened. Uncle and Auntie went on a business trip, right? Anya, I brought you some soft tofu pudding. Are you still mad? He naturally tried to step inside, but I blocked him at the door. Regarding the college applications, I can explain. My major at a university really suits me better, and the two schools are quite close. If you want to see me, you can just take the high-speed rail. Why wouldn't you come find me? I looked at the sweet tofu pudding in his hand and suddenly laughed. Actually, I never liked sweet tofu pudding. For the past 3 years, every time I bought him breakfast, I'd get myself a savory one. Lucas Liu froze. He opened his mouth to speak, but a familiar voice unexpectedly rang out from behind him. Girlfriend, breakfast time. I bought xiaolongbao and savory tofu pudding. Mason Tan held up the bag of food, the corners of his lips curved up, his smile carrying a hint of provocation. Lucas Liu spun around, positioning himself between Mason and me. What are you doing here? Mason Tan raised an eyebrow, shaking the bag of food in his hand, a defiant smile spreading across his face. Didn't you hear me clearly? I'm here to bring breakfast to my girlfriend. He clearly emphasized the two words girlfriend, as if Lucas were hard of hearing. Girlfriend? Lucas's face instantly paled. He turned to me, his eyes wide with disbelief. Anya, you can take your time to think about whether or not to forgive me, but there's no need to find someone like that to use as a shield. Who said he's a shield? I reached out to take the breakfast bag from Mason, deliberately letting my fingers linger in his palm for an extra second. We just officially got together last night. Mason's eyes lit up like a big dog who'd just received a treat. If he had a tail, it would surely be wagging so hard it'd fly off. Lucas Liu tried to say something else, but I had already looked towards Mason. Mason Tan, want to come inside? Anya Wen, you... He raised a hand to block me, but Mason leaned in and subtly nudged him aside. Lucas stumbled, but still tried to barge in, but I slammed the door shut with a bang. Lucas's furious pounding on the door echoed from outside. Anya, open the door! Mason isn't sincere! I leaned against the door, lifting my head to meet Mason's burning gaze. He stammered, opening his mouth. I'm sincere. If I'm lying to you, I'll get hit by a car and die right outside this door. My heart clenched. Unable to stop myself, I took a step forward, stood on my tiptoes, and covered his mouth. In the future, he had indeed died in an accident. Don't say that! Quickly, say something auspicious! Mason's face flushed bright red, like a monkey's backside, his eyes flustered. Phew, phew, phew! I'm saying something auspicious. He obediently followed my instruction. Against my palm, his lips were soft and warm, making my heart flutter. I cleared my throat softly and withdrew my hand. "Come eat breakfast with me." At the dining table, Mason ate his xiaolong bao while secretly glancing at me. When I turned back, he quickly lowered his head, nearly knocking over the vinegar dish. For the next week, Mason continued to bring me breakfast every day. Lucas Liu waited outside my building for 2 days, but Mason's sharp tongue drove him away. On the third day, Vivian too came instead. She stood haughtily blocking the doorway. "Anya Wen, Lucas chose a university because of me. Can you stop using the neighbor excuse to cling to him? With your family background, what could you possibly give him? College isn't like high school. It's not just about who studies better. It's about who lives better." I was about to retort when Mason suddenly let out a cold chuckle. "If your family has a lost dog, you should quickly leash it and take it home. Don't let it loiter outside other people's houses every day." "Is the Tu family that formidable?" Vivian's face alternated between white and green, trembling with rage. "You? What you?" Mason narrowed his eyes, his gaze sharp. "If you dare bother my girlfriend again, do you believe I'll go bother your boyfriend?" Vivian angrily turned and left. I gently squeezed Mason's hand. "You were too fierce. And bother your boyfriend? How would he bother him?" I was genuinely curious. He instantly dropped his aggressive demeanor, miserably leaning closer to me. "She was so fierce, my heart's still pounding." I was speechless. "Oh, please. When you were scolding her, I was worried you'd lick your lips and poison yourself." That evening, my phone suddenly vibrated. It was a message from my future self. "Mason will definitely cause trouble for Vivian tonight. He's the type to hold grudges. If he knows you've been wronged, he'll secretly get revenge." I was surprised. "No way." The other end replied immediately. "In college, my roommate once dumped leftover food on my bed. When Mason found out, he dragged an entire trash can and dumped it back on their bed." Later, I learned that those petty incidents were all instigated by Vivian. She had a roommate who was also my roommate, and she was jealous that I was once involved with Lucas, so she incited them to pull those dirty tricks. Just as I was still reeling in surprise, a call came from an unknown number. I answered, and immediately regretted it. It was Lucas Liu. He was apologizing on Vivian's behalf for her impulsiveness earlier today. "Anya, I'm calling to apologize for Vivian. She knew you were scolded by Mason and couldn't control herself for a moment, so she—" Wasn't he supposed to be scolded? "Lucas Liu, who you want to choose, is your business. Can you please stop bothering me? Do you have to drag me into your games? Don't you think you're the one who deserves to be scolded? You got scolded and then hid behind Vivian, asking her to back you up? Have you even finished elementary school?" The other end fell silent, then a cold chuckle echoed. "Anya Wen, you're always like this. Stubborn, opinionated, never willing to give others a way out. Unlike Vivian, she's gentle, sensible, understanding," I scoffed. "Even better, may you two enjoy 100 years of happiness." "You! Do you think Mason Tan is so great? He didn't even take the college entrance exam. He just wanted his parents to send him abroad," Lucas Liu fumed. "At least he didn't bet on wooing me," I retorted. "Nor did he leave me hanging while secretly stringing others along." On the other end, I heard a heavy thud against the wall. "Anya Wen, you've changed. You never used to speak so sharply." "Yes, I've changed, because I've finally seen everything clearly." I hung up resolutely. The next morning, my best friend Daniel Chen delightedly delivered the news. Last night, Vivian too came back from a bar and encountered a ghost in the middle of the night. They say the ghost, wearing a sack, chased her for 3 blocks. I think she's just done too many immoral things and her conscience is bothering her. She even posted a ghost-dispelling talisman on her story. Is she planning a tech revolution, exorcising ghosts via social media? I glanced at Mason Tan, who had just arrived half an hour late with breakfast. His dark eye circles were as prominent as a panda's. He must have been up all night. He sheepishly lowered his head. "I overslept today. I'll definitely wake up earlier tomorrow." The day my parents returned from their business trip. The Liu family had already finalized plans with my parents to hold a joint college acceptance party for Lucas Liu and me next Saturday. Both families hosting it together to make it lively. I was telling Mason Tan to remember to take the newly adopted stray cat, Ginger, for her vaccination tomorrow. Hearing this, I didn't even bother to look up. No need. Lucas Liu and I got into 2 different universities. Oh, come on, what's the big deal? From childhood until now, didn't we always have joint celebration parties for junior high and high school? My mother was still insistent on Lucas Liu and me remaining close. Normally, I wouldn't pay it any mind, but this time was different. This time is different. He got into a university and I chose C University. A university? Didn't you two promise to apply to C University together? They noticed my reluctance, exchanging glances. Anya, are you and Lucas mad at each other? No. I just don't think it's necessary. The living room suddenly became unusually quiet. My mother walked over and sat down beside me. Anya, sometimes distance creates beauty. Wait until you graduate from university. Mom, I looked up, meeting her gaze directly. Lucas, Liu, and I can't be together. But back in junior high, when Lucas stayed with us, weren't you two inseparable? It was in 9th grade. Lucas Liu's parents were on a long-term overseas business trip, and he was sent to stay with my family. The living room was right next to my room. We ate together, studied together, and played together. We were so close that our friends joked we were joined at the hip. Even when we fought, we'd stand on the same side. No one at school dared to mess with us. They even gave us a nickname, the Yin-Yang Twin Terrors. The day his parents came to pick him up, he even cried, clinging to our door, refusing to leave, stubbornly insisting he wanted to change his surname to Wen. He even secretly snuck back in the middle of the night. Mom, Dad, Lucas Liu has a girlfriend now, and I have a boyfriend. I'll bring him to the celebration party to introduce him. From now on, our 2 families should keep their distance. I decided to gradually separate the relationship between the 2 families. What? When did this happen? Didn't that boy always like you? Oh, so I've been mistaken all this time. My mother looked at me, her curiosity undisguised, and continuously asked about my boyfriend. I didn't say much. I simply video called Mason Tan. The screen lit up, revealing 2 bewildered heads, a person and a cat, both wearing matching miniature hats, looking like father and son. Anya? He panicked, his phone shaking as if about to drop, his hands fumbling to remove the hat. Wait, let me change first. No need to change. I suppressed a laugh and turned the screen towards my parents. Here, say hello. Mason Tan froze, as if someone had hit the pause button. The orange cat, Ginger, seized the opportunity to push his face out of the frame, its furry face filling the entire screen. Hello, Auntie. Hello, Uncle. Mason Tan poked half his flushed face out from behind the cat's rear end. I'm Mason Tan. My mother's eyes crinkled with laughter. Oh my goodness, this boy is so handsome. Honey, come take a look, isn't he? My father snorted. He's all right, just a little less handsome than I was in my youth. Yes, Uncle was definitely much more handsome in his youth. How could I dare to compare myself? Mason Tan immediately started flattering them, making my parents beam with laughter, almost to the point of adopting him as their son on the spot. Saturday arrived, and at the hotel, coincidentally, the Liu family's celebration party was being held in the room next door. Just then, Anya, 25-year-old self, sent a message. Be careful of Vivian too. Bien. During the celebration party, she bribed a staff member to play a fake intimate video of you and Lucas Liu, causing your parents to lose face and ruining your reputation. I found it hard to imagine how deep one's hatred must be to want to destroy another woman to that extent. But this time, I wouldn't let them have their way. Those fabricated intimate photos didn't exist in the first place. Just as the party's atmosphere was cheerful, the banquet hall door was pushed open. The entire Liu family walked in, each holding a glass of wine. Vivian, too, dressed in a white dress, followed right behind them, her gaze sweeping around as if searching for something, the disdain and disgust in her eyes completely unconcealed. It seemed Vivian, too, had successfully won over Lucas Liu's parents. Oh dear, Mr. and Mrs. Wen, your banquet room is quite small. Mrs. Liu glanced around, her voice betraying a hint of smugness. Our room next door was personally decorated by Vivian, with crystal chandeliers, fresh flower arches, truly magnificent. I said we should organize it together, but you two insisted on doing it yourselves. Celebrating Anya's university acceptance so simply like this, aren't you afraid people will laugh? My mother's smile faltered. It turned out that when my parents proactively suggested separating the two parties last time, Lucas Liu's parents thought we were looking down on them. So this time, they intentionally came to make things difficult. Vivian too feigned a casual gesture, linking arms with Mrs. Liu, and said sweetly, "Uncle, Auntie, don't take it to heart. Anya's family probably finds it inconvenient to spend too much, and they're too shy to use our family's money." Just then, Mason Tan appeared at the door, panting. "Sorry, Uncle, Auntie, I'm late." He handed me a velvet box he was holding. "Good thing I made it in time, Anya. This is my university acceptance gift for you. I designed it myself. Open it and take a look." A gift? I was stunned. So he was going to get my gift all this time? "Who are you?" Mrs. Liu sized up Mason Tan from head to toe. My mother smiled smugly. "This is Anya's boyfriend," she added. It turns out he was going to get Anya's celebration gift. This boy is truly thoughtful. Lucas Liu's expressions subtly changed. Vivian, too, gritted her teeth. Everyone knows how much Anya used to pursue Lucas. Now she's deliberately found some random man to anger Lucas. What childish tactics. I still remember meeting Mason Tan's mother at a charity gala once. She said she wouldn't accept her son dating just any girl from outside their circle. Playing around is fine, but for marriage, it has to be a match from an equivalent social standing. My father's expression darkened. Mason Tan frowned. "You've met my mother?" "My mother is traveling the world. When exactly did you meet her?" Vivian Tu's eyes blinked rapidly, her voice faltering. "Last time." "When was last time?" Mason Tan pressed in on her, step by step. "If my mother knew I had a girlfriend, she'd be so thrilled she'd be setting off firecrackers to celebrate. And another thing, why is the Liu family here?" Lucas Liu let out a cold chuckle. "My family booked the entire banquet hall next door. What's so strange about that?" Mason Tan didn't even spare him a glance, turning directly to the hotel manager standing nearby. "I wasn't asking you." The manager immediately bowed respectfully. "Young Master Tan, it's like this. Ms. Tu paid double the usual rate to book the banquet hall next door. She said she was a friend of your cousin." The entire banquet hall suddenly became so quiet you could hear a pin drop. A corner of Vivian Tu's lips curled up, revealing a smug smile. Mason Tan said nothing more, pulling out his phone and making a call immediately. "Henry Lee, I specifically emptied out the entire hotel today to host a party for my girlfriend. I hear you gave one of the banquet halls to a friend of my cousin?" I was stunned. No wonder today the entire hotel only had parties for my family and the Liu family. When my mother came to book the party, the staff initially said they were fully booked, but upon hearing my name, they immediately reserved a room for us, even giving us an additional 34% discount. I heard this was a hotel that hung banners congratulating city students who got into C University. My mother even joked, "This hotel really knows how to please its guests. If I had gotten into Q University, I guess I'd get free service for life, huh?" It turned out this place was Mason Tan's family property. From the other end of the line, a clear female voice rang out. "My cousin's girlfriend is having a party to celebrate getting into university. How could I let the hotel give way to outsiders? As for that so-called friend, she's just the daughter of one of my mother's mahjong buddies who came begging and pleading with me. Let me go chase her out." The very next second, Vivian Tu's phone rang. Her face instantly turned pale, and she frantically hung up the phone. Mason Tan calmly turned to the hotel manager, his tone icy. "Now, I invite those who are not relevant to leave my hotel. Don't let anyone disturb my girlfriend's university admission celebration party." The entire Liu family's expressions turned extremely ugly. Lucas Liu looked at Vivian Tu with an expression of utter disbelief. "You lied to me? You said this hotel belonged to your friend. Vivian, what is going on? Quickly, tell them this is just a misunderstanding. Mrs. Liu frantically grabbed her arm. Vivian, too, stumbled from the pull, but didn't dare utter a sound. The hotel manager signaled for the security guards to step forward, bowed respectfully to Mason Tan, then turned to the Liu family. Please leave immediately. Lucas Liu was pushed out by the security guards, still struggling and turning his head back. Anya Wen, is this your revenge because I didn't choose C University with you? I looked him straight in the eye, my voice calm. C University was my choice. Where you want to go is your business. It has nothing to do with me. Between us, there's long been no question of revenge or anything of the sort. His face was filled with utter disbelief. Anya, quickly, open your gift. Mason Tan's voice carried unconcealed anticipation, his eyes shining brightly like a large dog waiting for its owner's praise. I opened the velvet box. Inside was an exquisite bracelet, every line meticulously carved. On one of the details, the initials WNS were engraved. Oh my mother exclaimed with exaggerated flair. Kids these days are so romantic, not like some people, married for decades and still haven't managed to give a single flower. My father grumbled as he pulled out his wallet. You hold my salary card. If I want to give gifts, I need money, don't I? Or how about today, wife, you transfer me some money. I'll also prepare a surprise for you. Hearing this, Mason Tan pulled out another small gift box from his pocket. Auntie, this is a gift from me to you. My mother accepted it in surprise, opening it to find a pearl necklace inside. Oh my, this is very expensive, Auntie. I can't accept it. You're still so young. Where do you get the money to buy both a bracelet and a necklace like this? Mason Tan scratched his head, a little embarrassed. Uncle and Auntie, you've raised Anya so well, this small token of my appreciation is nothing. He even insisted they try them on. That evening, I took a picture of the bracelet and sent it to Anya, 25-year-old self. Isn't this the prize from the hotel's 80th anniversary lottery? Back then, when I held my university admission celebration party, the hotel manager said it coincided with their anniversary and invited me to a lucky draw. I picked it and won this bracelet. It turns out that idiot Mason Tan deliberately set up this scheme to give me a gift. I owe him too much. Please, you absolutely must treat him well. I held my phone, a bittersweet feeling in my heart. Why did this silly person do so many things for me without ever saying a word? My phone vibrated again. Mason Tan isn't good at expressing himself. In my second year of university, I had acute gastritis. Late at night, I couldn't get a taxi, so he carried me on his back and walked 10 kilometers to the hospital. That day, he himself had a fever of 39 degrees C. Anya, 25-year-old self, continued to recount every small thing Mason Tan had done. It turned out that later on, he secretly bought the nearly bankrupt wonton shop simply because I once said that place had a taste of home. He even secretly named the newly donated library Anya Library. After the Liu family suffered such a humiliating loss of face, they didn't dare to lift their heads in public, and if they saw my mother, they would quickly take a detour to avoid her. As for Mason Tan, thanks to his display of dominant tenderness at the university admission celebration party, he successfully won the complete favor of my parents. Whenever he had free time, he would come over to my house. Even Ginger, the orange cat, followed him over to eat for free, to the point where its fat belly was almost sweeping the floor. That day, I was curled up on the sofa, teasing Ginger, when Mason Tan stealthily sat closer, stammering, my parents want to meet you. Henry Lee is too talkative. He already told my parents about you. My mother went absolutely ecstatic when she heard about you. Wait a moment. Why would she be that happy just hearing about me? Could it be that his mother knows me? I narrowed my eyes, asking suspiciously, Are you hiding something from me? Mason Tan's entire body suddenly stiffened, his ears turned bright red, and his eyes awkwardly darted around, unsure where to look. It's not exactly that she knows you. I put Ginger down, gently pinched his cheeks, and pressed him for answers. Tell me the truth. His face turned red as a ripe tomato, and he stammered, During the parent-teacher conference in 12th grade, I once pointed you out to my mother. My eyes widened. It turned out that day, the plump, pretty auntie who kept staring at me and smiling foolishly, even insisting I sign her name so she could take home good fortune for her son, who didn't know how to study, was Mason Tan's mother? Mason Tan scratched his head, saying bashfully, I told my mother that after the university exams, I wanted to reserve you as my future daughter-in-law. What did she think? I burst out laughing, a mixture of amusement and exasperation. And what did your mother say? She said, My son, you're terrible at studying, but your taste in people is too high. You really are a toad trying to eat swan meat. Mason chuckled sheepishly, his eyes curving into crescents. But when she got home, my mom said, to have such an excellent girl become my daughter-in-law later, I must have accumulated virtue for 8 lifetimes. He also said it was fine if I didn't want to meet them, because his mom didn't believe he could actually pursue me successfully, thinking he was just bragging. I softened, agreeing to meet his parents. A week before the start of the semester, I carried the carefully chosen gifts, standing before the Tan family's door, my palms damp with nervous sweat. Mason was just about to press the doorbell when the door suddenly swung open. It was as if someone had been waiting for a long time. His mom's eyes were wide, her voice full of excitement. Son, well done. You actually enticed, brought this girl home. Behind her, his dad cleared his throat repeatedly, quietly reminding her, Didn't you memorize your lines last night? How could you forget everything? Oh, right. I need to be serious, Mrs. Tan cleared her throat, trying to appear serious. Little girl, I want to ask, what good qualities do you see in my son? Me. Mason panicked. Mom, I already told you, as long as it's Anya, Silence! I'm asking Anya! She waved her hand, then gave him a sharp tap on the back. I looked up at Mason, offering a faint smile. In my eyes, he's appealing from head to toe. Mrs. Tan pulled her husband's arm, her eyes squinting into slits like a cunning little fox. See, I told you, I really must have accumulated blessings for several lifetimes to get a daughter-in-law like this. After lunch, Mrs. Tan leaned into my ear, speaking conspiratorially. Anya, want to go up and see the boys' room? Mason immediately jumped up as if a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Mom, no. Go on. You go downstairs and cut some fruit for Anya, and remember to cut the watermelon into heart shapes. Mason shot her a glare, then grudgingly went down to the kitchen. Mrs. Tan pulled me, tiptoeing stealthily up to the second floor as if we were burglars. The moment the door opened, my eyes widened, and my hand instinctively covered my mouth. The entire wall was covered with my photos. There was one of me bowing my head, reading in the library. Another was my back view, lost in thought by the sports field. Even the moment I cried from eating spicy noodles had been secretly captured by him. Each photo was carefully framed, neatly arranged in chronological order on the wall. This boy usually locks his room tighter than a safe. Even the maid isn't allowed to enter. I slowly stepped inside. On the desk lay a thick sketchbook. I flipped it open. The first page was a drawing of me with a ponytail from when I was in 11th grade, with the date and weather noted beside it. Turning page after page, each drawing was of me, smiling brightly, pouting in annoyance, or dozing off with my head on my desk. The latest page showed me on the day of my university entrance exam, my face beaming as I ran out of the exam room. Below it was a small line of text. May Anya achieve everything she wishes for. A few years ago, he'd learned to draw one day and skip the next, but when it came to drawing you, he persevered for 3 whole years, Mrs. Tan said, a hint of pride in her voice. Outside, panicked footsteps echoed. Mom, you too shouldn't... His voice choked midway as Mason stood frozen in the doorway, his eyes wide with panic. His mom glanced at her son, a smug smile on her face, and whispered as she brushed past, Son, this assistance today should at least be worth $1 million in pocket money, right? Remember to remind your dad. On the way home, I couldn't help but ask, was drawing me difficult? The tips of his ears turned slightly red. Both easy and difficult. Easy because I always have you to draw. Difficult because while every picture is of you, none can capture even 1/10 of who you are. My heart warmed, a surge of tender emotion rising within me. I unexpectedly pulled his collar down. Under the faint yellow streetlights, we took our first photo together. In the photo, I was smiling brightly, my eyes curved into crescents. He, on the other hand, looked silly, like a little boy who had just received a gift. "This one's for you. You won't need to sneakily draw me anymore." I sent the photo to his WeChat. Mason stood rooted to the spot, hugging his phone and smiling foolishly, oblivious to my departure even after I had walked far away. Back home, the moment I opened the door, my mom mysteriously pulled me aside. "The Liu family has struck it rich. Vivian too introduced an investment project from her parents, helping Lucas Liu's family earn $1 million. Now Mrs. Liu has even recognized her as a future daughter-in-law. Those two are as close as glue now, sticking together like peas in a pod. Mom even saw Mrs. Liu bringing people from the neighborhood to listen to sales pitches, saying the more they invested, the greater the profit. Anya, tell me, is that woman stupid? In this world, how can you invest $500,000 and double your money?" I was startled, a premonition of ill omen rising within me. "Mom, that sounds like a pyramid scheme." "Exactly. I even advised them, but Mrs. Liu scolded me for ruining their path to making money." Mom muttered that she would go warn her close friends, then stormed off, clutching her bag. I hesitated for a moment, but ultimately messaged Anya, 25-year-old self. "Is the investment project Lucas Liu's parents are involved in real?" The reply came very quickly. "Fake. Vivian Two's parents' company has been an empty shell for a long time. They absconded with the money from the women in the neighborhood and fled. Lucas Liu also followed Vivian Two to another city. In the end, only his parents were besieged by creditors at their door, forced to sell their house to pay off debts." I stared silently at the screen for a long time. When I was little, Mrs. Liu might have been boastful, but she often cooked sweet and sour pork ribs for me. Mr. Liu might have been vain, but he always bought me small gifts whenever he went on a business trip. In the end, I still unblocked Lucas Liu and arranged to meet him at a cafe the next day. He thought I wanted to rekindle our old relationship, so he arrived very quickly. "What? Now that you know my family's making money, you finally remember me?" I looked at the person who used to be gentle and humble in school, now, after only a few months, had become pragmatic and calculating. The innocent feelings from that year completely vanished. "The investment project Mrs. Liu is involved in has problems. You should advise her to stop." Lucas Liu frowned, cutting me off. "Anya Wen, did you look for me just to talk about this? You used to be jealous of Vivian too, and now you're slandering her, saying the project she introduced to my parents has problems. Anya, don't stir up trouble anymore. I can promise you, once I've made this money, I'll come back to you. During university, if you find it too far, I can come visit you, but only once a month, don't ask for more." Not far away, Mason was hiding behind a money tree plant, looking as sneaky as a puppy stalking its prey. I took a deep breath and pushed the stack of documents on the table towards Lucas Liu. "Lucas Liu, you people are swindling Mrs. Wang's retirement money, Mrs. Lee's medical expenses, and the hard-earned sweat of many other people." That stack of papers was compiled by Mason, who had someone investigate it. Lucas Liu suddenly swept the documents away, stood up abruptly, and furiously yelled, "Don't pretend to be noble. Anya Wen, just because your family doesn't have money, don't you dare try to stop mine from getting rich. I'm giving you one last chance. Break up with Mason Tan right now, and I can pretend nothing ever happened. If your parents want to join the project, I'll talk to my parents and have them give your family a spot." Just then, Vivian too burst into the cafe aggressively, her hand firmly hooked onto Lucas Liu's arm, her eyes full of vigilance as she glared fixedly at me. "Anya Wen, now that you know how rich the Liu family is, are you trying to cling to him?" "Too bad, it's too late. Lucas saw right through your gold-digging ways a long time ago." I bent down to pick up the scattered documents on the floor, my voice calm to the point of coldness. "Vivian too, why didn't you tell Lucas Liu the truth, that your family's company has been placed on a special management list due to irregular business practices?" Vivian Two's face stiffened, but she quickly forced a strained smile. What nonsense are you spouting? Lucas, don't believe her. Haven't you been to my family's company? Does it look like there's a problem? Anya Wen must be playing tricks. She's jealous of me, that's why she's making everything up. Lucas Liu turned to look at me one last time, his gaze a mix of disappointment and unresigned defiance. Anya Wen, in the end, we just keep drifting further and further apart. With that, he dragged Vivian To, who was still babbling explanations, out of the cafe. Mason Tan quietly stepped out from behind a potted plant, his voice soft and comforting. Don't be angry. He's just stupid. I shook my head, my eyes following Lucas Liu's disappearing figure outside the window, my voice hoarse. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. I clearly gave him a chance. My phone vibrated. It was a message from my future self. Don't hesitate anymore. Call the police. At least you can still save those poor people being scammed. I took a deep breath and quickly dialed 110. The police arrived very quickly. The defrauded women, Mrs. Wang, Mrs. Li, and many others, rushed over, weeping and demanding their money back. Mrs. Liu, being questioned by the police, still screamed hysterically, Anya Wen! You ruined my chance to make money, you bitch! Mr. Liu was escorted into the police car, his face filled with shame. Lucas Liu still stood there, insisting on reassuring them. It must be a misunderstanding. The two families' company is so big, how could they possibly scam us? Only Vivian Tu, her face ashen, dared not utter a single word. Mason Tan took my hand, his voice warm. Anya, you did the right thing. Not long after university started, this fraud case immediately sent shockwaves across the entire internet. The hashtag Elite Student Couple Fraud topped the trending searches for a full week. The Tu family went completely bankrupt, and her entire family, along with the Liu family, were thrown into prison. The day I enrolled in university, Mason Tan personally accompanied my parents to drop me off at school. I thought he would leave after that. To my surprise, on the third day of classes, as soon as I walked out of the female dormitory, I saw him standing downstairs, holding a bag of steaming hot breakfast. Why are you here? Mason Tan lowered his head, a little shy, and mumbled, Oh, my family just donated a library building to the school. Sure enough, he had used money to pave the way to get in. Time flew by like the wind, and in the blink of an eye, Anya, 25-year-old self. One evening, as I was watching TV, my phone suddenly rang. It was a message from my future self, who I hadn't heard from in a long time. Don't let Mason Tan go out. Today is the day he gets into a car accident. My heart clenched. I quickly jumped to my feet, rushed to the door, and tightly pulled on the arm of the man who was about to leave. Today, can you stay home with me? My voice trembled. Mason Tan gently pinched my nose, smiling tenderly. Today's our wedding anniversary. I've prepared a surprise for you, and I promise I'll be back soon. I shook my head, gripping his hand even tighter. I have a surprise for you, too. With that, I took a pregnancy test stick from my pocket, 2 clear red lines appearing before his eyes. Mason Tan froze on the spot, his eyes wide and unblinking. I'm going to be a father? That same day, the news reported, a serious accident occurred at the intersection in the western part of the city. Right at the place where, in a different timeline, Mason Tan had gotten into a car accident. Looking at the twisted guardrail on the TV screen, a chill ran down my spine. My phone vibrated, and a new message appeared. I'm about to disappear. Thank you. Because of you, I finally know how incredibly happy a life chosen correctly can be. I looked up towards the kitchen, where Mason Tan was clumsily looking up nutrition menus for pregnant women on his phone. Tears involuntarily fell. I knew my future self was saying goodbye. That timeline, once filled with regrets, had finally been completely altered by the choices of the present. The end.